Welcome to Cardboard Kings. We are your hosts today. I am Mr. Demnock.
And I'm Sweepy. Today we'll be looking at Strafe, a first-person gore shoot-'em-up.
It is developed by Pixel Titans and published by Devolver Digital.
It also features roguelike elements into the game. Think about procedurally generated maps and permadeath.
We will be looking at story, gameplay, characters, graphics, music, and team.
Afterwards, we'll come up with a final grade based upon these elements.
Okay, so literally the very first thing I noticed in this game that I really enjoyed was the soundtrack. The very first enemy you knock out, that's when the soundtrack starts playing, and that was the first thing that really got me hooked. I was really enjoying the soundtrack, and I do like the gunplay in the game.
Well, definitely the music is good in this game. That's very hard to deny. They're very enjoyable sounds. The gameplay is not bad. Here and there you would suspect a more recoil, on my end at least, since yeah, it just gets inaccurate, that's about it. But this type of game, it's not that bad. Should have only do that, basically.
Yeah, and then the level design also looks really good. It really does make me feel like I'm playing an old shooter game like Doom, based on the level designs alone. And I like the idea of procedurally generated maps.
It just sometimes screws up and you just get like 5 monster closets in one room in one go.
Whilst trying to run away.
That's part of procedural generating maps. It just happens.
It's RNG.
Aside from the well-made maps, or at least the well-looking maps, and the good music, I also think there are a fair amount of weapons, since you can start out with a railgun, with a machine gun, with a shotgun, or a wrench.
I like the wrench, actually. I'm sorry, I really do like the wrench. Maybe it was playing too much Prey the other day, but the wrench is really fun because you know the little turret things that shoot little yellow balls? The wrench can knock the balls of energy back at them.
Ha, that's fun. I didn't try the wrench yet myself, simply, well, I didn't know how to do it. It's that I, in retrospect, found out, oh hey, you can use a wrench. It's quite fun.
Well, yeah, it doesn't tell you, because you come up the elevator when you first start, and you see 3 weapons in front of you, and then you don't think about, hey, well, let's enter the map without a weapon. That'll be a bright idea.
Yeah, no, you won't think about it at all. So, yeah, I just grabbed the weapon, jumped in, started shooting, started killing, and then I died.
Yeah, that's about how this game works. You jump in, you shoot, you die.
And really, the shooting, the visual feedback you get from shooting enemies really is nice as well, because you see limbs flying, you see heads flying, you see blood flying. You know you've shot something, hit something.
They weren't joking in the tagline on the store page when they said paint the walls red.
Yeah, but I think you can paint the ceilings red as well.
Hey, as long as there's enough enemies in the room, you can do whatever you want with the color scheme.
Basically, which is quite fun.
It is fun, and I do like a lot of the weapon upgrades. Like for the railgun, you have the disc launcher, which explodes. Mm-hmm. The shotgun has a flat cannon mode that fires really thick, heavy bolts. They're slower, so that's the only real problem. My favorite weapon so far, though, has to be the machine gun's upgrade that fires 3 rounds with 1 trigger pull, and the rounds will home in on enemies. It's a homing gun. It's really cool.
Well, homing guns are often very fun.
Well, the problem was that it's the things on the wall that spit acid balls at you.
Yeah, or lava, or
whatever it is. It's lava, acid, angry yellow stuff because Big Bird hates us.
Basically.
It's the homing gun for the machine gun doesn't track those. It only tracks the balls.
Well, because probably the acid spit points are not classified as enemies, they're probably classified as hazards, just like the exploding barrels.
Yeah, and throwing the barrels is fun. It's just really dangerous. There's way too many runs I've had where I've thrown a barrel and had it blow up in my face instead of fly.
Yeah, they're just a little awkward sometimes. There are some biggie issues going on with them.
Their collision data is really high.
And they also don't really fly how you expect them to fly.
Not really, no.
But, small things.
You know, and I do like the number of enemies that you get to fight. You have no shortage of enemies in these maps.
No, but if there were a shortage of enemies in the maps, it would be really bad, because it will just directly deteriorate the fun in the game and the challenge in the game. Since the game is quite challenging, and that makes it actually quite fun. Sometimes a little too challenging, but we'll get to that later.
Yeah, I have a problem. You see, I screwed up the secondary fire on the railgun twice because I didn't know how to work it. But I wish there was a less reliance on monster closets, though.
I get why they went for the monster closet route, having so many, just to throw you off and have them hidden very well, but sometimes it does get tedious, I admit.
I mean, it is RNG, so you could have one monster closet, no monster closets, 10 monster closets. It's just, they really show up not at points that are engaging or scary. They show up at points that are really, really disadvantageous for you. God, that word hard.
Yeah, well, sometimes you just get stuck speaking about something. Also, what I really hate is they go to tutorial and they tell you to like scrap and can open boxes, but they forget to tell you probably the most important out of all. The big box you can shoot multiple times for more scrap. And I didn't realize this till much later. If I'd known this much earlier, my runs would have been much smoother.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was just RNG based, because sometimes I would hit a box and I would get a piece of scrap, or I would hit a box and I'd get... And sometimes I would hit it and I'd get a piece of scrap, and sometimes I'd hit it and I'd get 3 or 4 pieces of scrap. I had no idea what the reasoning behind that was. I thought it was RNG.
Same here.
And I like the secondary weapons that you can pick up throughout the map. My problem with them is that they're one use only.
Well, what would have been great if you were to go to a scrap bench, you could craft ammo for your secondary weapons. It would have made making ammo much more interesting and actually very engaging and worthwhile. Since right now you're only going to save up scrap for armor.
Oh yeah, I don't bother using it for ammo.
That's why I say it would have been very interesting if you could use it for your secondary weapons, because often your secondary weapons are stronger unless you found upgrades. In which case, if you could craft more ammo for it, your secondary weapons are worth more. In which case, you would be safer. You won't be as reliant on your health, because, well, yeah, the name of the game is Strafe, but still, sometimes a little unforgiving.
Yeah, and you know what? There are a lot of the secondary weapons you can pick up. They're upgrades or secondary upgrades of the weapons that you can start the game with.
Mm-hmm.
Like the disc launcher, secondary you can pick up. It's a modified version of the railgun.
Yep.
And there's a shotgun pickup. There's a heavy shotgun pickup. There's a submachine gun pickup that shoots really fast but not a lot of damage. And it's just like, I mean, yeah, I get that these are upgrades of your primary weapons, but it would still be really nice to have these on hand.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it looks and feels like a classic shooter, so I'd really like to have more than just one weapon on hand.
Yeah, that's something that really disappointed me as well. You only have one weapon you keep permanently. There's no way to have multiple weapons. Unless you get lucky and find a lot of ammo. But most of the time you just find like 10, 20 rounds, then it's over. That's already quite lucky in my opinion, in my experience.
Well, and if you have a full one and you go pick up another exactly identical one, the ammunition doesn't stack.
Really?
Yeah, it just throws away the old gun.
That's
not that good in my opinion.
No, that's just bad.
And I like the pistol. I mean, why is the pistol a secondary only?
Well, yeah, that's a good question why the pistol is only secondary. Since you would actually expect a pistol to be a main weapon in general. Some of those weapons you would expect.
A backup weapon for when your primary weapon runs out of ammo.
Or something like that.
I mean, it's strong, yeah, but it shoots really slowly and it only has 10 rounds. I mean, you can make the pistol unupgradable, keep it the way it is, and you just have to deal with the slow fire rate. Like, there are enhancements, there are blessings, is what they're called in the game, that you can pick up that increases your fire rate, your reload rate, your ammunition capacity. The damage, I think, is one of them. But we can't upgrade the secondary weapons at all. All those blessings you have, I've not seen any of those blessings have any effect on the secondary weapons at all.
I honestly don't notice the blessings in general. They just feel a little unempowered to me.
The only one I actually notice is the ammunition increase for the magazine. Those are the only ones I notice. I don't notice the other blessings.
That's just a little bit of not so great design, which also leads me to the fact that this game is very unforgiving when you die. It tries to advertise as a roguelike game, or a roguelite. Choose one of the two terms. They advertise it as both. At first it's roguelike, now it's roguelite. But honestly, there are not that many roguelite or roguelike elements in the game. And the primary elements of those are not even there at all. Which is, there's a reward for dying and completing a run, which is not. You just die, you start over, and well, yeah. You just lost everything, and there's no reward for it. What we expect from roguelite is when you die, you gain something, be it permanent currency, be it some extra upgrades at start or different weapons, but you get something. In this game, it just, you die, you restart, new levels, and you hope to get as far as possible to get nothing again.
Oh, and none of your knowledge of the previous run will help you because of the procedurally generated maps. None of the runs you'll have will be ever remotely the same. You might get lucky and have a couple of rooms that are the same in terms of layout, but the enemies there, the items you find there, the secondary weapons you find there, none of those are going to be the same.
Well, they're at least not going to be in the same spot. In the first world will always have the same enemies, but yeah, they're going to be in different spots, in different quantities, the monster classes are going to be in different spots, so yeah. It's a big variety in the different levels, which makes each run very fun, because, well, you never will be prepared for any of the runs, because, well, you don't know what to expect. So you need to assume the worst.
But the whole point of a roguelite game is that there's some form of permanent progression. And the severe lack of permanent progression doesn't really motivate you to beat the game, other than the fact that it's a really challenging game. And I do like the game. I think the game is really fun. It's just that it's not a roguelite.
It is not, and try to advertise as one, and that's one of their shortcomings. But because of the few elements they have in here, they also don't really appeal to the Doom players, I'm assuming.
Well, as a Doom player, not really. I mean, it looks like what you would expect from a Doom-like game, but you can't use any of your knowledge from a past run to help you out. It's just, this weapon does this. That's the only knowledge you can gain from these runs. I mean, the music sounds great, the maps look great, the weapons are fun. It's just, every single time you die and you come back, you basically have to start from scratch as to where you're going.
It's one of very few flaws of the game, and it just makes it somewhat annoying once in a while.
I mean,
but it's not the thing that annoys me the most about this game. It's something that annoys me even more than just the fact there is no reward for dying. And the fact is that my CPU is just crying while I'm playing this game, for no apparent reason, because, well, when I look at the game, it shall not be taxing for a computer at all. But when I look at my CPU load, it's just ridiculous, and it just runs hot very quickly. And you would say, okay, then probably the game will run very smoothly. No, there are actual frame drops once in a while.
Yeah, especially in the exit scene, the exit for the level. There's some really bad FPS drops when you open the door.
And you would expect, oh hey, they're maybe loading the next level, but then you get, of course, the screen with stats. And then you enter the elevator, and then you basically have another loading screen. So you're just waiting there, and waiting, and waiting. Which also kind of kills the pace of the levels, because going to the next level is slow.
And as a Doom player, I'm used to being able to walk into the exit room and then walk back out. I mean, hey, yay, I found the exit now. Now I can go find all the rest of the stuff I lost. I forgot. But if you walk into the exit room, the door shuts behind you immediately and you can't leave.
Same with the vendors, which you get once in a while. You enter the vendor and you're locked in.
And you're locked in. It is kind of interesting how you can rob the vendor, although I think that's really mean.
Yeah, it is definitely interesting, and definitely adds an extra element to the game, which you can really use if the vendor has a lot of interesting stuff that will help you in your next runs. Or next runs, in your next level, I meant.
Oh, and nothing you buy from the vendor is permanent either.
No, which you would expect instead of maybe each run being unique or having no reward for the run. And perhaps what you will buy from the vendor will be permanent. That's not the case either. Even the currency you buy at the vendor is not permanent. All of that's lost as well, and you're like, well, what am I supposed to do now? Nothing is permanent. Nothing stays. It's just
neither is the scrap. The scrap, which is like the prime thing that your character is supposed to be looking out for. You don't even get to keep all of that, or even a percentage of that. It's all gone.
It's just sometimes a little annoying. But on the other hand, something I do like about this game, which I almost spaced, is the fact that the developers are quite active on the forums and actively respond to problems in community.
I mean, that is a really good thing. I am really happy that they do that.
But it also leads me to something that makes me somewhat concerned, since they also tend to move negative feedback and criticism to a different forum board, which really makes you think, why are they doing this? This is bad.
I mean, and I get the logic behind it. And if it's your own forum, I mean, yeah, you can control your own forum. But to just bluntly say everyone who's negative and unconstructive feedback gets thrown in here is a chump, I mean, that's
A little much.
That's a little much. I mean, I get it. You don't want to have to deal with these people who are being negative or unconstructive. But dealing with negative and unconstructive feedback is
Part of running a community.
And if you want to be part of the community, you have to take all of it.
Yep, but some people just don't realize that. So it's kind of a double feeling. On one end, they're really active, which is good. But on the other hand, they also do some bad things, like just moving things to a jump board to just ignore the fact that it exists. Well, it does exist. Well, it does pose a problem, but yeah, they just ignore it.
I mean, and I'm pretty sure that some of those posts that get moved there probably deserve being there. It's not a matter of whether or not they deserve being there. It's just, it's kind of a bad idea because you're bringing more attention to it. And even if those forums are locked, it's going to bring a lot of attention to that area. And if most of that post was completely negative and unhelpful, but there was a part of it that was actually made sense,
That's what get roasted for it, because now everybody's reading it for sure.
and they're going to all focus on the one part that made sense. So it's just one of those things, you know? It's just one of those things that really doesn't make sense to do. It makes sense when you think about it and you want to do it, but when you actually do it, it usually just ends up with you getting roasted more than just by letting it go. Those kind of forum posts ended up getting flooded and then basically shut down by the community anyway when everyone gets bored of being toxic about it. Oh well, it's just moving on. The GUI we should talk about.
Yeah, it's definitely one problem that the game has. The inventory and map in the game, which by the way are just annoying to find in the first place.
Which you didn't even know the map existed until I told you.
Yep, basically. They're not even helpful, so having the knowledge that the map exists actually makes the game worse, because the map is so unhelpful. It makes the game harder instead of easier.
Well, the biggest problem with the map, though, is that if it's a multi-floor room, it doesn't show you what floor you're on. It shows the whole map laid over 3D.
Well, they do show you where you are, but because it's layered on top of each other, you just don't see yourself. So it's a very confusing map. It's also very hard to look at.
Oh, because you can't open it up and then like keep playing and have the map open, because the map takes up the entire screen. So you can't even see what's happening in front of you because of the map being open. Same with the inventory. And then occasionally, like in the shop, in this playthrough right here, I was looking at the shop items and the shop GUI broke and it didn't even tell me what the items were or what they did. Because in that shop there was an item that restores health every time you kill an enemy, but I didn't know what it was because the GUI didn't tell me.
That's just one of the disappointing parts of the game. It's just sometimes it's a little buggy, and AI is also guilty of this fact. Is sometimes the AI just glitches, and then they just run around retardedly or something. Everything in the level aggroes. And then you're like, oh well, great, I just got on this level and everything's already trying to kill me.
Yeah, level 3 right here, I walked out the door and every enemy in the front room aggroed on top of me and I haven't even done anything yet. And then I aggroed everything on the other side of the locked door. I don't even have the key card for it yet, but everything on the other side's aggroed. The aggro range in this game is just, it's too big, in my opinion.
Aside from aggro range, something that also just annoyed me is the placement of the upgrade benches and the scrap benches. They're very inconsistent and often in places where they're just not helpful. Because great, level 1. First thing you see, scrap bench. Great, I don't have scrap yet.
I mean, a weapons upgrade bench at that point would be nice.
Yeah, but the problem with weapon upgrade benches, they're far in between. You'll maybe get one every 3 runs, in my opinion.
And except for the image at the top of the weapons upgrade bench, the weapon upgrade bench does not tell you what the upgrade is.
No.
Unless the GUI is supposed to tell you what kind of upgrade it is, but it breaks. I mean, I have to deal with that a lot. The GUI likes to break on me.
Yeah, there were definitely some bugs in the beginning. Luckily enough, some of them have been fixed already on the second or third day after launch.
I mean, that was a good thing. This 2 days after the game launched, the devs looked at the community, they looked at some of the major problems, and they patched it out. That was great. I mean, that was really great.
Definitely. And something I really like about active devs, they try to solve issues. But on the other hand, it also annoys me at the same time, since don't you have some kind of quality control? Right now it's somewhat too popular to just release a game, patch it afterwards.
I mean, yeah, this is one of the downsides. You have to like and hate because, I mean, they'll look at the problems and they'll patch them out, but to be fair, sometimes why were these the problems in the first place? But maybe that's just being, too picky.
That's maybe being too picky. But that's simply how people will look at it, and that's how people will reason about it. It is both an advantage and disadvantage. But overall, it is a very fun game. It has some problems.
It has some problems. I really do hope that a lot of them get patched out.
Or perhaps some more features are added in the future, because, well, 2 modes are missing, VR sports missing, so the game also doesn't seem finished yet.
I mean, it's both a good thing and a bad thing. I'm just interested why it's not listed as a early access game, unless this is the full base game and then everything else being added is like DLC content.
That would be even worse in my opinion, but we'll have to see in future how it goes. Though, it's hard to recommend this game right now because some of the flaws are just a little annoying.
Just a little. I mean, we haven't run into any like game-breaking graphic glitches yet, so I think that's a plus.
No, but there are people that did already, so
that's true.
We might have been lucky in that regard, but there have been people that actually did run into them.
I mean, we're not knocking it. If you really do like this game, it's perfectly fine to like this game. I like this game.
Not so much, but
well, that's because they said roguelite, and then there's really not any roguelite elements.
Yep.
So when you jumped into this, you were really hoping for a roguelite game.
I was definitely hoping for something like it, or at least a little bit of a progression curve, since that is entertaining to me. And that's why I was like, well, perhaps this game might actually get me into this style of games. But then it just killed even more for me.
Because it really didn't have the elements needed in a roguelite.
Yes, which we've already talked about, so...
Yeah, and then it's just... The secondary game mode is also fun. I think it's harder than the campaign, just based on the limits in the rooms.
Mm-hmm.
But it does have permanent progression. So I mean, that is interesting, but then you get the permanent progression, but none of the procedurally generated maps, which I thought was really weird.
Well, what I was expecting from the game was actually a mix between those two.
I mean, that's what it was advertised as. That's what it looked like. Oh well, I guess we should get to the scoring then.
It's maybe not the best segue to get into scoring, but you'll hear them in a moment. You'll hear them in a moment. You'll hear them in a moment.
Personally, I give the story 2.5 out of 5 stars, gameplay 3.5 out of 5, characters 2 out of 5, graphics 4 out of 5, music is 5 out of 5 for me, and the theme is 3.5. Total, I give it 3.5. I really can't recommend the game at full price. It's not by any means a bad game, but it has room for a lot of improvement in my opinion.
Overall, the game has good points and has bad points. I give the story 2 stars out of 5. The gameplay, 3 stars out of 5. Characters, 2 stars out of 5. Graphics, 3 out of 5. Music, 4 out of 5. Team, 3.5 out of 5. And overall I gave the game 2.5 out of 5. Simply because I deduct half a star due to the bad performance it is having on my computer, which is definitely above average. I give the game 3 stars out of 5. It's a fun game, but it has some flaws, it has some issues, and it's not what you expect, and it's not what it's marketed as. We do recommend the game on sale. If you enjoyed our content, please consider subscribing and watching some other videos. See you in the next one.